Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio. And now, here's our host, Dr. Vanessa Anceloni.
Welcome, dear listener, to Kardec Radio. Today we're here to talk about Spiritist Books for you. Spiritist books are a fascinating way to open our minds and deepen our understanding about ourselves, life, the universe, and much, much more. And to help us understand this, we're going to bring to you, right here from the studios of Kardec Radio, two friends, Andrea Marchonero and her husband, Marcelo Nero, who are both located in Miami, Florida, and they are responsible for one of the greatest publishers around the world, Odyssey, specifically Odyssey of America. Odyssey is the official publisher of the International Spiritist Council. You'll be delighted by the program because probably you'll find the book that is best for you. If not, many, many books. We want to remind you that Kardec himself, in the introduction of the Spiritist Book, which is the first Spiritist book in our history, published on April 18th, 1857, he says that the spirits have announced the time appointed by Providence for your universal manifestation that has now come, and has as ministers of God and agents of the divine will, their mission is to instruct and enlighten men and women, open a new era for the regeneration of humankind. This book, says Kardec, the Spirit's Book, is a compilation of the teachings of these spirits. It has been written at the order and under the dictation of high-order spirits in order to establish the basis of a rational philosophy free from prejudices of preconceived notions. It does not contain anything that is not the expression of their thought or that has not been submitted for their approval. The order and methodical arrangement of the contents, as well as the textual comments in the form of some parts of the redaction, are the only aspects contributed by one who received the mission of publishing it. Dear listener, this is part of the introduction of the first Spiritist book on the earth, and it tells us of the nature of these books. They are here, as Kardec shares with us, open a new era for the regeneration of humanity. And we need to know more because it's about us. It's about our future, the future of our children, the future of future generations. And we need to know in order to progress faster, expedite our progress. Why not? Because the faster we grow, the happier we'll be. Well, to kickstart the program, we would like to share with you a message from the book and also CD, Living and Loving by Joana de Angelis, through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco, the greatest medium and speaker of the current times. And you can buy your own copy at the website of the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, www.ssbaltimore.org/bookstore. Living and Loving, Ways to See is the very message you're going to listen to kickstart this program. And after the break, Marcelo Nero and Andrea Marchonero will be here with us, delighting our souls with great news about books that transform humanity.
Chapter 7, Ways to See.
People see a landscape according to their own visual capacity. A colorblind person will have difficulties to distinguish different hues. A short-sighted one will have a distorted perception of reality. Any deficiency or anomaly in the visual organs will result in an incorrect way of seeing. However, if a person has adapted himself to a visual deficiency, he will never know that he has missed delicate patterns, rich details in a picture, or the exuberant colors life is bathed in. A tiny speck under a microscope will reveal a stellar panorama. A dewdrop on a petal looks like a sparkling diamond. When it comes to the observation of moral behavior, we usually see others according to our emotional and mental conditions. Consequently, there are people who will only find faults and imperfections in others. There are those individuals who only see the dark side of things and situations. A few others are plagued by systematic doubts about the character of their neighbors. Such attitudes express personal projection, which is a way to see persons and facts through one's inner self. Therefore, one sees outside what one sees inside one's own self. Examine yourself candidly before you judge others. Never act on impulse or under strong emotion, for if you do so, you may be mistaking mere whims for sober reasoning. Filter your plans and projects through the sieve of self-criticism and consider how you would like people to act towards you were you the offender. Be honest with yourself and act accordingly. Do not harbor unwholesome, arrogant thoughts. May your attitude reflect the inner peace you must achieve, cultivate, and express in your daily activities. When you find yourself at the head of an important position, receive kindly those who seek your help. Do not leave a negative mark on the road you march along or on the people you meet on the way, because when you walk back, you will meet them again. For your own benefit, fight your bad tendencies and try to overcome them. Each day is a new opportunity that life grants you. Someday you will be asked to account for your deeds. When we assume a task, we should set ourselves a target and speed towards its achievement. We should neither stop, curse, or complain, but move on steadily, conscious of our responsibilities. The way we see or consider a fact results from our individual capacity for discernment. Place the lens of love over your personal deficiency, and you will see life, people, and things from a different angle, through a perfect, colorful prism, so rich in beauty that you will work more as you strive to reach your target.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Books of Andre Luis. Through the hands of the most prolific medium of all times, Chico Javier, the spirit doctor Andre Luis wrote a series of books that unveil the mechanisms of life and life after life. From the best-selling novel No Solar, Our Home, to And Life Goes On, the reader will find illumination for a fulfilled life on Earth as well as immortal happiness. Check the many titles available at the international distributor, EDI CEI of America. Their website is www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Spiritist Network, your gateway to on-demand Spiritist videos. www.spiritistnetwork.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio. Traveling to another country? Immigrating elsewhere? Prepare yourself by reading the book Among Brothers of Other Lands, in which several loving and wise spirits wrote through the hands of Chico Xavier and Waldo Vieira, telling all of us the tips and hints of a successful transition to a new land. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Do you want Spiritist books for your children? At Edicei of America, you'll find a collection of them, from the best-selling book Our Father, in which the Spirit Mei Mei, through Chico Xavier, brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Edailson Salles on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.edisayofamerica.com.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we are here at Kardec Radio enjoying a beautiful time when we're going to talk about one of the most fascinating aspects of Spiritism, reading of Spiritist books. Spiritism, different from other philosophies around the world or religions or sciences in general, with the publication of a book. So reading Spiritist books become imperative for those who really want to know what it is all about. It's beyond spirit phenomena. It's beyond just praying, getting into trance, etc. Spiritism is quite unique as a science. Kardec really stated that Spiritism as a science is this interaction between the reasoning and our faith. Faith is not enough if we don't reason it. So the books come as a true opportunity for us to put them together and make peace between brain and the heart inside of each one of us, and to help us understand more about the importance of Spiritist books. And this special show is for you, to tell you that amongst all the books, there must be one that is for you, written specifically for you. You will find out as we talk to our friends, Andrea Marshall Neto and Marcelo Neto. Marcelo Neto is currently the president of the Spiritist Federation of Florida, and Andrea Marshall is a member as well, and they both work at the Conscious Living Spiritist Center in Miami, Florida, and they are leading the efforts of the publishing of books in the United States and around the world through the publisher Odyssey of America, which is actually a publisher of the International Spiritist Council. Thank you so much, Marcelo and Andrea, for being with us today at Kardec Radio.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for this wonderful opportunity, allowing us to celebrate Allan Kardec and his invaluable contribution to humanity through an incessant and tireless work in order to bring the enlightening books of the Spiritist codification, the Spiritist compilation, if I can say.
Hello. Yes, indeed, we are honored to be participating in this special segment and talking about our very favorite things, which are indeed the Spiritist books. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, and we thank you for being here, because we know that Spiritism began with the publishing of the Spiritist book in 1857, and so this year, in this October, we're turning 157 years, and the significance of this book is yet to be understood. Many people think it's just what is the Spirit's book or the Book of the Spirits? Is it like a manual to communicate with the Spirit? So how important is this book, Marcelo, for humanity on the earth?
Vanessa, you brought something extremely important, the way you address in the beginning of this your talk, because right away when first opening the Spiritist book, we see that its significance is greater than most will take the time to understand. We read and we see that this work contains, and we quote because it's actually in the beginning of the book, principles of the Spiritist doctrine concerning the immortality of the soul, the nature of spirits and their relationship with humankind, moral laws, the present life, the future life, and the destiny of humanity, according to the teachings given by the highly evolved spirits through several mediums received and coordinated. So, Vanessa, with this work containing these teachings given by the highly evolved spirits, no longer would men wander aimlessly in their destiny. So the content of the Spirit's book is distributed within 4 parts, actually. We call 4 books, but it's 4 parts inside of one same book. The enlightening topics were posed by Allan Kardec in the most original form, that of questions and answers, as if to say there are no impositions of ideas. This is very important for us to say. And we have to question. So the book questions everything. Search for the answers that are pertinent to you in your own evolutionary path.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Vanessa. Its first edition of this monumental work was published on April 18th, 1857, and it quickly sold out. Its second version came about in March of 1860, amplified after being reviewed. A second edition came out with its definitive content and format. It's what we have today. Actually, Odyssey of America published this edition, the first book of Spiritist codification, the Spiritist teachings, if I can say also, with its scientifical, philosophical, and moral amplitude. So we have several scientific studies suggest that reading stimulates our minds. As you said in the beginning, this is very interesting, improving all aspects of our daily lives, concentration, assimilating new information, reducing stress. But when we look at spiritual side of things, we can start wondering and celebrating the powerful impact of feeding our mind and soul with reading a book such as the Spirit's Book. So we have 12 years after the release of the first edition of the Spiritist Book in 1869. In fact, was after the discarnation of Allan Kardec. Discarnation means the death of Allan Kardec. This amazing title that had released its 16th edition in just 12 years. And today we see and hear stories of folks who have had the pleasure of opening this book, be it in French, in German, in Portuguese, in English, Spanish, Russian, and we do see its significance in the lives of the immortal soul who is in constant search for an answer. So that's the importance of this book.
So when you're saying this, Marcelo, it reminds me of Mentor Joseph telling us that the Spirit's Book is almost like the manual for the immortal soul. So as you said, any reader will find the core of their own nature right there in the Spirit's Book. So if you browse through the book, we are going to find that the illuminated spirits, through Kardec's questions, addressed pretty much everything that happens in human life in general.
Absolutely. And there's something interesting because once you read the book, the first time that you read the book, you analyze it in a way. If you go through the studies and findings, other books, and if you read it again, you will see the very same questions, and you will address it in a very different way that you used to do in the beginning. So it's something marvelous. It's something so amazing how that book touches many, many lives. And I love the way that you put that people are searching for spirituality. And when they go and find the Spirit's Book, they found much more, because they will find questions that we very much ask all the time, and they will be logical answers based on this brilliant mind that was Kardec compiling and putting all these work together. That is amazing.
That's amazing. But now, Andrea, soon after Kardec spent a year dedicating, not only years, he spent years publishing other foundational books that will probably derive, as we may say, from the Spirit's Book. Can you please help us understand more about the other foundational books of Spiritism published by Kardec?
Yes, Vanessa, this topic is so interesting because, as you said, he spent years. I mean, these were 15 years compiling information. And an interesting fact, before we get into that, is that right after the publication of the Spirit's Book, he founded what was called the Parisian Society of Psychological Studies. Now, I don't know if some of the listeners know this, and we apologize for repeating, but he was the president of this society until his death, his physical death, and they met every Friday evening at his house with the intent of obtaining from the spirits through several writing mediums instructions and the elucidation of the truth and the duty based on these writings. And because of this work, he also founded and edited a monthly magazine entitled The Spiritist Magazine, which thankfully we have this kind of work available for us today in English and with so much content and information also. And he did that in a way of advocating the views set forth in the Spirit's book. So it was another kind of tool that he utilized in order to propagate the Spiritist teachings. And because of this, in all of the meetings that took place in this Society of Psychological Studies, there was an immense amount of information, of spirit teaching that was not only unique in the quantity, but also the variety of the sources from which it was obtained. And, of course, all of this found its way into the hands of Kardec, who was not only the most appropriate person to do that, but also full of awareness of the great responsibility. And so he studied them, he coordinated them, he collected them, and it was all done with such love and devotion over the period of time. And so we see that from this, he was able to bring for us, I like to call the apprentices of the greatest educator, because that's what Allan Kardec was. He was able to compile the 4 other books. And so we will see that the medium's book was brought on in 1861, which was, as they said, a practical treatise on mediumship and evocations. And then we had the Gospel According to Spiritism in 1864, bringing us an exposition of the morality from the Spiritist point of view, which is an amazing book that touches the very core of our heart and soul as well. And then he brought, a year later, amazingly, a year later, 1865, we were given the gift of the book Heaven and Hell, which gives us a vindication of the justice of the divine government of the human race, and also bringing us the hope and consolation of this aspect that is so much discussed in other religion point of views as well. Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? And so we have great testimonies in this book as well from other spirits, giving us a glimpse of what awaits us depending on our own effort. And then we have the Genesis, which quite often I tell people to not skip over and study the Genesis, because it's a book that brings us Spiritist theory with the discoveries of the modern science as explained by the spirits as well, which came in 1868. And it's pretty amazing, because Allan Kardec, as calling him our educator, he was always giving people an idea that we needed to study and observe and question. And he was so great, because in the introduction of the Medium's book, which is the book that came after the Spirit's book, he's very clear that book in itself was for the serious reader. It wasn't for some kind of a person who was looking for a recipe of training mediumship or just a phenomenon alone. It was a way that he felt would contribute towards showing the essentially serious character of Spiritism, and also, of course, dissipating the idea of frivolousness and entertainment, which his attention was grabbed with the phenomenon of the turning tables, but he knew that there had to be something there to be studied and evaluated. And so he does indicate that people should read the Spirit's book first, because it contained the fundamental principles that was necessary to understand the work. And it's interesting to see, Vanessa, because we understand the Spirit's book, as Marcelo mentioned, containing the 4 parts or the 4 books within, and we see that each one of these books, each one of the part of this book, of the Spirit's book, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, is in reality an introduction to the other titles. Part 2 of the Spirit's book deals with the spirit world, or the world of the spirits. It's an introduction to the Medium's book. And then we see part 3 dealing with the moral laws, which is an introduction to the gospel according to Spiritism. And then part 4 dealing with the hopes and consolations, which is an introduction to heaven and hell. And then some will say, well, it's 4 parts, but there are 5 books. right?
Exactly. As you're saying this, Andrea, Marcelo, before we go to our first break, we'd like to ask you, so if somebody wants to learn about Spiritism for real, would you say that these are the first steps to go by?
Most definitely, because as we see, and Marcelo even mentioned, we read the book one time, and then we read it again, and our mind broadens in understanding. And so it's essentially important that we do read all of these books. Although it may seem that they're large books and there's a lot of information contained, it's necessary so that we can understand all of the other books that brings us a reality of the spirit world, the general elements about God, about creation, and so on. And it's always a good idea to study these books, reading them a few times. As our mind and understanding broadens, we see the teachings in a whole new light.
It's interesting you're saying that these books are large, etc., because nowadays we are in such fast-speed society, but it reminds us just to tell the listener, dear listener, please remember, at Kardec's time, as Andrea gave you like glimpses of his life here and there, he didn't have like electricity to write these books or a computer, internet, etc. So life was pretty hard. And there was no bathroom for a real break to really, refresh his mind. So we can tell he really worked hard. And I can never forget, you probably have heard this as well from Edwin Bravo from Guatemala, who is one of the members of the International Spiritist Council. He once told us that in Guatemala, in many centers, they don't have money to actually have the book, so the whole community has a copy of each book. They have to memorize the parts of the book, even the kids, so they know it by heart because they don't have access to it, which is a completely different reality for us. So we have access, and we may complain like, that's such a large book, but the people out there, they already have it by heart. Good for them, because when they get to the spiritual realm...
That's right. Yeah, living books, walking around.
Exactly. So, dear friends, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more specifically about a book that was recently released by EDC of America that is a very good book for sympathizers of Spiritism and beginners as well.
We will return to our program after these messages.
New release, Liberation. In this compelling narrative, Andre Luiz emphasizes the work of high-order spirits in the effort to convert the spirit Gregorio to the good, an effort that culminates with the unforgettable re-encounter with his mother, herself a highly evolved spirit, wherein he surrenders to the irresistible call of love. The book also contains information on how unhappy spirits act as they try to involve incarnates in their wiles. The spirit author tells of the intercession of high-order spirits on behalf of human beings, demonstrating the divine compassion that grants to all the blessed opportunity to free themselves by means of study, labor, and persevering service in the practice of the good. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Want Spiritist Books for your children? At EDC of America, you will find a collection of them. From the best-selling book, Our Father, in which the Spirit Mei through Chico Xavier brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Adelison Sales on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand sections of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website, www.kardecradio.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
Spiritism for Everyone, the online study of Spiritism. this year with the in-depth study of the book Genesis by Allan Kardec. Join us every Wednesday evening through the web from any computer or mobile device, no matter where you are in the U.S. or the world. Spiritism for Everyone is free, open to all, and requires no registration. For more information, go to www.spiritist.us. Spiritism for Everyone is a program of the United States Spiritist Council.
And now we return to our program.
So, dear listener, we are back and we're talking about Spiritist Books for you. By now, Marcelo Neto and Andrea Marcio from Florida, from Odyssey of America, they are here enlightening our minds about the importance of Spiritist books. And they have already talked to us about the foundational books by Kardec. Hopefully you have already identified yourself with some of them. If not, we're going to give you more opportunities so you can find the book that is for you. Marcelo, there is a book that was recently published by Odyssey of America, which is, by the way, the official publisher of the International Spiritist Council, present in America, serving the whole world. The book by Kardec, Spiritism in its Simplest Expression. It's such a cute little book, but so powerful. Can you tell us how this book can be of great use for those who are sympathizing with Spiritism or just beginning their steps into Spiritism?
Yes, Vanessa, this is correct what you just said. This is a charming pocketbook which can be carried around and even given as a gift to those who are interested about Spiritism. So Kardec, wanting to popularize Spiritism and make spreading it easier and quicker, but without taking away from the basic works of the Spiritist teachings, he wrote a number of books and distributed them throughout France at prices that were affordable for anyone who might be interested in getting to know Spiritism. So some of them had several principles, some of them had several printings and were highly successful. They continue to be republished even after Kardec's discarnation, and so this is one of those booklets. So we are trying to put these books very affordable and try to make the distribution as quick as possible, and of course trying to follow the steps of Kardec, because it's a very, as the title mentioned, it's very simple, it's very thin, so you're not going to get scared to see a very thick book. It's very nice, and you will see how Kardec addressed the simple questions about Spiritism. This is amazing, huh? This is amazing how he thought about it, and this is what I would like to say.
He was an educator, as you're saying, Marcelo, and we can tell how great of an educator he was, because he really thought about the people who wanted to study deeply, or those who were just coming in and didn't have much more to, time, or they were scared, or they needed something so condensed that it would give them like a boost for the next step. So we see in this book, and we want to share, Marcelo, that actually we have adapted the roadmap program. In its second course, we have adopted this very book, Spiritism in its Simplest Expression, as one of the books that is in the course. Recently at the center in Virginia, the Spirit Side of Virginia, we have finished the study sessions of this book, which is amazing because it's short, but it's enough for us. It's dense. The content is marvelous. And at the Spiritist Side of Virginia, John DeRosa, one of the members, who is also a member of the Kardec Radio, he actually suggests, and he has been sponsoring this as well, which is each and every newcomer to the center in Virginia receives a copy of this book.
That's really nice. That's outstanding. Very nice.
Yeah, and it came from John DeRosa himself, which I thought it was a marvelous idea because it can really give a great introduction that is beyond words for everyone who is stepping in a center or into Spiritism as a whole, right?
Right.
It's very true.
Very true.
We have seen another group then that did a housewarming here, and they had a little welcome goodie bag with the schedule of the Spiritist Center, what Spiritism is, and they worked with us in order to get these little books as well to give it as a starting point so people can see what the Spiritist doctrine is, and it was a great success. So we were pleased to see that happening as well. We wish more people would do that.
Yes, that's why we're sharing here. That these are great ideas. I also think that idea is wonderful for open house, for special events. This is really the book to go because it can be very consoling too in the teaching, especially on the third part when he talks about the maxims of the teachings. Now, this is an effort that is being put together by Odyssey of America, the publishing of the most important books in Spiritism, from Kardec to Andre Luiz, Emmanuel, and many others. Andrea, you and Marcelo have been leading this effort as volunteers. You volunteered to put together with the International Spiritist Council, Odyssey of America. Can you please tell us more about what Odyssey of America is, its mission, and the great works you guys have been doing throughout these years?
Thank you so much, Vanessa. It's indeed has been a wonderful road for the last 3 years, and the satisfaction from being able to work with these books, and I even like to joke that at Odyssey of America, which is a location here in Miami, I feel that I'm surrounded by thousands of beautiful words that are enlightening in itself, and it's a very blessing type of situation to be in. So as you mentioned, Odyssey of America is the affiliated branch of the International Spiritist Council in the U.S., and when we began this work, we really had no idea how much it would have grown, how much it was growing, and we can only see the hands of the good spirits working and guiding that these books do make their way into the hands of those that need it the most. As you yourself said in the beginning, everyone finds themselves in one of the books. Some people find themselves in the Spirit's book. Other people find themselves in other of the titles that we carry. And it's beautiful to see that it doesn't matter where we come from or where we are in the world. We can always find the most beautiful aspect of Spiritism and its consoling aspect in these books. Mm-hmm. So Odyssey of America's main goal has been the dissemination of these amazing titles, not only here in the U.S. and Canada, but we have noticed that the work has expanded to other countries as well. Mm-hmm. We have had friends from Singapore, from Germany, from India get in contact with us, and we find it that Emmanuel in the book, in the realms of mediumship, says that the future does belong to the spirit. And little by little, we start seeing that there are souls and spirits incarnated that may not be spiritists, but their souls aspire for the universal knowledge, which is what Spiritism is bringing. And we have been working for almost 3 years now for the success of this, but we have not been doing this alone. And this is the most beautiful part of the effort of working in a team effort. We see spiritualists and spiritist centers that are working with us in the propagation of these titles. We have been honored to participate in events where the organizers wish to make these titles available as well for their attendees. So we work with them as well in ensuring that these books make their way there, sometimes even on consignment until it's sold. We see that there are volunteers who take it upon themselves to purchase books. We have 2 students at university level that always reach out to us, and I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to embarrass them, but they do reach out from time to time, and they do request donation because they have get together with other young fellow friends in the university. And so we see that there is a lot of work being done by other tireless workers and volunteers as to allow for the distribution of these amazing books to reach new heights. And so we see that, even though the work is still, there's a lot to be done. We do donate books to hospitals, to different universities, and even prisons. We also count on the help of the Spiritist centers and spiritualist centers. And we thank Kardec Radio so much for allowing us to be doing this kind of information because we do hope that each of the books that we have, with the mission of translating the work, of editing it, having it published not only in paperback but also digitally, that these books may find their way to those in clarifying many of the questions about reincarnation, about the benefit of practicing good. As science today does support the idea that doing good is good for us. And Spirit brings us the moral side of it as well. And our own spiritual obligations with our own progress. And most common one is the fear of death. How amazing to know that life goes on, and that when a loved one departs before us, it's not the end. It's just a temporary separation. And finally, we do hope to continue translating many other amazing books, be it in English or other languages, so that they may be available. And diligently working for the books to be available digitally for the young readers or the tech-savvy readers who prefer to take advantages of the iPads and the Kindles and the Nook of tablets that are available right now. We also have made the books by Odyssey of America available through Overdrive, which is another wonderful tool of dissemination, allowing for the books to be present in public libraries.
Oh, wow.
So, while we do not propose to know all the answers or on how it's supposed to be done, we do believe that these books are the nourishment that is necessary for the spirits, and that they will definitely strengthen us during our daily struggles and our progress as we go forward in our own pilgrimage. So we are truly honored to be part of all of this.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And as you're saying, we can tell that since Odyssey of America has been here in the United States, it has really changed the scenario for the dissemination of Spiritism in the U.S. and around the world, facilitating so much the work of Spiritist centers, and even, individuals as a whole, their access to the books. Beforehand, people probably have no idea, or some do, majority don't have any idea about how hard it was to get this book. So making it so much easier for everyone. And we want to remind everyone who is listening to this program, either live or on demand. If you're listening to this program, no matter when you listen to it, on demand, if you do it live, wonderful. If you do it on demand, wonderful. Write an email to Kardec Radio at kardec@kardecradio.com, or go to the website, kardecradio.com. Fill out the contact form, send us your mailing address, and you're going to win one copy of Spiritism in its simplest expression. It's for you, because this book is certainly the representative of Spiritism around the world. So no matter when you listen to this program, just send us an email with your mailing address, and you're going to get your copy of this very book. Remember, dear listener, we have thousands of opportunities to read nowadays. What is the difference when we read a book like a Spiritist book, as Marcelo and Andrea are saying? Recent studies by science itself have proven to us that when we read a book, it can change our emotional life. It can boost our motivation in life. So we would say these books, as Andrea used a very beautiful expression, are true nourishment for your soul. We're going to give a short break, but when we come back, we're going to delight your mind when you hear about the series of books written by Dr. Andre Luiz through Chico Xavier, when we come back from the break.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Getting to the Light, Spiritist Therapy for Discarnate Spirits is a small book that offers guidance to Spiritist practitioners and Spiritist counselors. Purchase your copy at www.ssbaltimore.org.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on any previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand section of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website at www.kardecradio.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Help prevent suicide by reading and sharing these books with others. 2 great books are available to help in this Kardec Radio campaign to prevent suicide. Suicide, All You Need to Know, by the international Spiritist speaker Richard Simonetti. You can buy your copy at www.roundtablepublishing-uk.com. Also, Memoirs of a Suicide by the medium Yvonne Pereda. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Kardec Radio, live every Saturday at 11 a.m.
Kardec Radio now offers more programs during the week and weekends. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can follow the beautiful program God at Home with Francisca Kranz and the British Spiritist community. They will brighten your days by doing a God at Home meeting wherever you are in the world, while teaching you how to do the same in your own home with your family and friends. Every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will hear incredibly inspirational Spiritist talks directly broadcasted by Spiritist Network. They will be true educational moments to carry out to immortality. Every Saturday, live interviews, Bridging Health and Spiritism with the host Dr. Vanessa Anceloni. You may ask questions to the interviewed guests by calling 858-769-4705. And every Sunday, tune in the Spiritist Awareness at Kardec Radio. You will hear a series of segments on a diversity of Spiritist topics. Kardec will broadcast the Spiritist Moment with Kirsten DeMello, the reading of the Spiritist Book by John DeRosa and Steve Shepard, Spiritism in Your Life with Drs. Marco and Joyce Magalhães, Spiritism and the Gospel with Luis Sergio Marotta, Spiritist Education for Youth and Children with Bernadette Leal, Spiritist Music with James Marotta, Neuroscience and Spiritism with Dr. Vanessa Anceloni, and many more segments coming soon. Enjoy it all and nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
And now we return to our program.
We're back, and we're talking about Spiritist books for you. By now, we hope you have already identified yours. If not, we have much more. We're going to talk about now books that deepen our understanding about ourselves, life, Spiritism as a whole, André Louis books, Emmanuel's books, and many others. So we have here with us Marcelo Neto and his wife and collaborator also in the Spiritist works, Andrea Marshall Neto. They are here with us also representing the greatest publisher that we have of Spiritist books around the world, Edicei of America, which is officially the publisher of the International Spiritist Council. Marcelo, Andrea was telling us about the efforts of Edicei of America, and one of the greatest efforts has been the publishing of André Louis books. Can you tell us about what this series is and what it represents to us and how it can really transform our lives, please?
Oh, you brought something really interesting and very important. There is so much to say about André Louis' series and how much our beloved reporter of the Beyond, how we're going to address him, is a reporter from the Beyond, has brought back in unveiling in his own way an entire universe invisible to our eyes, but very real to the senses. We are able to learn with him and evolve as well in knowledge with what he brings back. It's also interesting to see him growing and learning on his responsibilities of service in the spirit realm. It must be shared that Nosso Lar, this is really interesting, which is the very first book in the series, has been a Spiritist bestseller in Brazil since its very first publishing in 1944, if I'm not mistaken, up to today. In the U.S., with Edicei of America, we see the very same. It's always the top-ranking book, and we can see why. André Lewis brings us his impressions and discoveries about life in the spirit world and returns through the fantastic mediumistic faculty of Chico Xavier, who channeled the book and acts like a reporter who records his own experiences as they occur. So André Lewis, Vanessa, unveils to us an exciting world filled with life and activity, and which is organized in an exemplary way. So we see that life does go on. This is so nice to know. And that in the spirit world, there is a place where discarnate spirits go through a recovery stage and a spiritual educational process supervised by high-order spirits. And so Nosso Lar and the other in this series enable us to get a glimpse of the spirit world that awaits us, all of us, Vanessa, after we leave our physical bodies. This is so consoling because we see there are many dimensions interacting one with another. And we see, maybe I'm not a physicist, but I can maybe address the string theory, already proven that we have several dimensions, several planes, maybe I could say several realms interacting with each other. This is so amazing, so interesting. So it brings us not from taking us away from the imaginary, the clouds and the angels playing harps, but a complex and vivid activity and very interesting and dynamic activities in the other realm of life.
That's amazing. As you're saying this, many of the teachings by André Luiz through Chico Xavier are yet to be proved by science, but many of them came really at the vanguard of science and have been proved after the publishing. So I know the International Medical Spiritist Association has several accounts of revelations by André Luiz that later science came along and proved. So things that are invitational for all of us, right, Marcelo? Because it's telling us, hey, if this is telling things that are really going to be understood one day, why not reading it now? I remember Dr. Gary Schwartz telling us on the second anniversary of Kardec Radio, as a scientist, he said, if the spirits are telling things that we can expedite progress, let us partake into this. Let us collaborate with them, because we can really progress much more easily and faster by knowing of these revelations, right?
I remember that show. It was amazing.
It was amazing. Now, Andrea, we have another beautiful series of the 400 plus books that Chico Xavier psychographed. Another special series is Emmanuel. And Odyssey of America has, thank God, we're so grateful that it's all published. The series of Emmanuel regarding the novels. I know there are other series as well. You can tell us more about it. Can you tell about the novels that were written by Emmanuel, please?
Emmanuel, he is such a special spirit, and the work that he has brought, it's so beautiful. I remember reading the book 2,000 years ago for the very first time on a plane headed to Brazil, and I was crying on the way to Brazil.
Just for a moment, she's not that old. 2,000 years ago, yeah.
Well, this is the first one of the series that is composed. It's actually composed like 2,000 years ago, and then we have 50 years later, Hail Christ, Renunciation, and we see Emmanuel's own trajectory, bringing us a lot of profound teachings about some of the historic episodes of Christianity in the first century, in the second century, but the books, the story in itself, it is so beautifully written. It is so filled with rich details about the encounter with Jesus. The book Paul and Stephen is the other book in this series. I get excited just talking about this because it is indeed a masterpiece, as Marcelo said. And those who read it will say, when is this coming out as a movie? Because it's such an amazing book. And then we see in the book, Paul and Stephen, we see a lot of the invitation also that Emmanuel brings to light about the aspect of changing our lives around. Because the book will talk about Saul, who was Paul of Tarsus. But before he actually converted, before he was actually able to repent for a lot of what he thought it was right, the radical type of posture that he had, and then he turns his life around after he encounters Jesus on the road to Damascus, and then from there on you have to read the book because it's amazing. And so we see that a lot of the novels by Emmanuel calls upon us to awaken, truly awaken to the need for our own spiritual connection with the greatest master of all, who is our Master Jesus Christ. And it's a beautiful book. All of them are beautiful because in reality it calls upon us to becoming better beings. There are a lot of important points and highlights on these books, as we can see as we read the books. And in reality, this is how all of his books are characterized. By the way, Emmanuel's writing, and of course through the channeling capabilities of Chico Xavier as well. But we see that they call upon us to consider moments, specific moments in our lifetimes that call upon us to make a change, to realize that we have been given an invitation by Christ, be it in a mission of paternity or maternity or our own spiritual involvement. What are we doing with the calls that we receive all the time in our lives? And this is why his work is so profound. I like to say that the novels brought on by Emmanuel is in reality a healing process for the soul. Because I guarantee that once anybody reads the book 2,000 years ago, to me that was the book. I was sitting, I was on the plane, and I was crying so much because it touched the most intimate fiber of my soul. And I know that something changed there when I read that book. And it's something very intimate that happens to each reader, depending on the books. For some, it's Paul and Stephen. For some, it's Renunciation. It's a beautiful book that talks about the aspect of resigning oneself on behalf of someone else in the name of love and charity. It is a beautiful story about Alcione, this really highly elevated spirit that actually decides to come to the lower spheres of the earth to be able to assist the one that she loves so much in her soul. Beautiful stories, beautiful. I could go on and on talking about it because it does offer some profound, deep meditation about our own life.
That's for sure. It has a high psychological content that can be identified by the spirits, that's for sure. But now, what about books, Spiritist books for children and youth? We know EDC of America provides and has been also publishing books of the nature. Can you tell us some of the books that are available?
Definitely, Vanessa. We currently have 6 titles available with a new one on the way. Very soon we will have a new release. Actually, a new release by the spirit Veneranda, who is the highly evolved spirit of Nosso Lar, dictated to Chico Xavier.
This is really exciting.
That's a very good book. So you will see by the mediumistic faculties of Chico Xavier, one of his fantastic books. It's really important for parents to realize that there is no set age that one should be speaking to their children about Spiritism. That's why the importance of these books. Being pregnant, Vanessa, yourself, and knowing about the impressions the spirit who is reincarnating feels even in the womb. We see that education for the immortal spirit should begin right away. Even if we missed the early stages of infancy, we can and should start as soon as possible. So tending to the already perceptible nature of the spirit that was entrusted upon us by our Father above, which is God. So we have so far 6 titles and one coming up very, very soon.
And Marcelo, as you're saying this, you made a comment about pregnancy, and I will share with the listener as well that there is a book named Our Father by May May, right? That EDC of America is selling. And this is the book that actually I was raised by my parents, reading this book and listening to it at the God at Home or the Gospel at Home meetings. And my husband Carlos and I actually every week at our God at Home, after we read a passage of other books by Emmanuel, for us, we read one passage for baby Virginia.
Oh, very
of
good.
the book Our Father, and we think she likes it because she moves a lot.
This book, May, she's so sweet. Her maternal aspect of teaching is so amazing. One of the Spiritist groups here in Miami, they shared with me that they do every week in the youth education, which is offered by the Spiritist Center, they do one study based on each part of the book Our Father. Right. So 1 week they'll do the Our Father, which art in heaven, and then they'll go through each chapter from the book with the young ones. So it's a beautiful way to do it as well.
That's beautiful, and we want to remind the listener that every Sunday on Spiritist Awareness, we have a special segment coordinated by Leo Vieira and his family. It's very cute because the whole family participates, and they are going through this very book we're talking about, Our Father by the Spirit May. They read and they talk about it. It's Leo Vieira, Isabella, his wife, and the two children, including Sarah. The daughter of Daniel and Kirsten DeMello. They are all together there reading this book. Marcela and Andrea, we know there are many other books that are also being published by Odyssey of America. Can you tell us more about some of the other books that you would like to share about and the perspectives of the books that are to come?
Okay.
Yes, definitely. I wanted to bring the attention to two great books that came out, and it's a different author who's a medium by the name of Yvonne Pereira. She was an amazing medium as well. She's not very well known yet here, but in Brazil she's very well known. And one of the first books that we released a couple of months ago was an amazing book entitled Memoirs of a Suicide. And we thought it was really important to bring this book and have it translated and try to disseminate as much as possible, because she actually had the assistance of the spirit who's called Camilo Cândido Botelho. And he basically brings her information about the horrible experience that he had after having committed suicide. And so, although the book entails a lot of information about this, it also gives us another perspective in demonstrating how much there is a divine providence, there is a divine mercy that is always there for those souls that do choose the wrong path of committing suicide and taking their own lives. And it's a true opportunity in this book to understand about the universe, to understand about life in its fullest dimension, and understanding reincarnation as the greatest gift that we can have while here in the physical realm. And so this is a wonderful book that was brought, and just this last week we also released another title by her called On the Canvas of the Infinite. And this book is actually composed of two parts, and giving us a glimpse also about divine mercy, but also the law of cause and effect. It gives us an idea about what does it mean truly to understand the need for us to act selflessly and have patience in the hardships of our lives. So it's a beautiful book also that brings about the understanding of having some moral reform, and this is another very intimate thing that we talk about. So I want to introduce Yvonne Pereira for being this amazing medium who was also born in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, and she had many mediumistic abilities. She had the faculty of many types, but she was especially known for her psychographic works. And so she had a lot of renowned spirit authors who would write through her a lot of enlightening and refined literary works about moral and scientific spiritist topics as well. So I really invite the readers to get to know Yvonne Pereira and get to know these two amazing titles that we released.
That's amazing. And Andrea, there is one book we also like to mention is about Jesus in the home. And for those who are listening to Kardec Radio, there is a program every Wednesday entitled God at Home, in which Francisca Kranz from England, together with Mackenzie Mello in the United States, they joined forces to unveil the beautiful passages to us in that book, Jesus in the Home, psychographed by Chico Xavier, also published by Odyssey of America. Now, Marcelo and Andrea, we don't want to let you go. We would like to keep you here forever and ever talking about these amazing books. But what would you like to share as your final comments with Kardec Radio's listeners, please?
Thank you very much. This was a tremendous opportunity. It's something amazing about the fact that we are getting together, talking, and I wish to emphasize the importance of feeding our minds with enlightening and positive readings. Without a doubt, humankind have evolved greatly in the era of science and technology in the last century. But the questions of the soul still remain. Our hearts still ache for deeper understanding about life, morality, justice, where we have come from, and even where we are headed. So this is why we feel these Spiritist books can assist in answering many of life's questions, guiding the immortal spirits, which are us, towards the path of higher understanding. Anissa, there's so much content in these books. We are certain that for those who truly wish to carefully study them, will find consolation, clarification, and answers for our never-ending questions.
Yes, and I just really wanted to, Marcelo's my words, and let the listeners know that we are also available to say, I get emails all the time asking what was it meant by the chapters such and such on the book Liberation, or the Spirit's book. I didn't understand the questions. I get emails like that, and I am more than happy to share the ideas and even talk about and answering some of the doubts that naturally arise when reading these books. If you don't yet attend the Spiritist Center, we are there all the time connected to be able to answer any of the questions, and we are ever so thankful for being able to distribute these books and be at the service should you be looking for a specific book and don't necessarily know what to look for yet. We are here to answer questions.
So as what Andrea mentioned, we answer a few questions about questions. If we know the answer, we answer. If we don't, we call Vanessa.
Kardec Radio.
Kardec Radio.
Vanessa, I needed to say that we truly admire and hold it very close to our hearts the work that Kardec Radio has been doing with all of the interviews and the works and being available on demand. We always like to share on Facebook, which is another amazing tool that we have for the dissemination. So I congratulate you and the team for the effort and the work being done with Kardec Radio. Congratulations and many blessings on this continued work that you do.
That's my words. Thank you very, very much, Vanessa.
Thank
you very, very much, Kardec Radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We hope you have enjoyed this program, dear listener, and spread the news that Spiritist Books are here for you, for all your loved ones, for everyone in humanity. It's a way, as Kardec says in the introduction of the Spirit's book, to help the regeneration of humanity on the earth. Now we'd like to invite you to wrap up this program with us by saying a prayer. Let us pray, dear listener, because the blessings are so many. And let us pray that more and more of these books come to our hands, to the hands of everyone in humanity, transforming humanity to the best that it has, because we are all divine. Let us raise our thoughts and feel the providence that never abandons us, Let us feel the kind hands of our loving Father, Mother God, showering us with illumination through Spiritist Books. The illumination of books such as the Spirit's Book that enlighten each and every heart. Dear God, how can we ever truly express our gratitude for your mercy and kindness when you present to us Spiritist Books? Books that teach us about our nature, about you, that point the direction, the north of our lives, that teach us about emotional management, spiritual management, relationships, a better world, perspectives, bringing us immortal joy and hope. Thank you, dear God. Thank you. Thank you. May everyone who has been an instrument of your divine hands in both realms of life receive our gratitude as well. We thank especially Allan Kardec for his great sacrifice, Chico Xavier for his incredible devotion, Divaldo Franco, Yvonne Pereira, and all the wonderful spirits in both realms of life who have been helping us all in humanity free ourselves from ignorance and conquer truth, because as Jesus, the divine Messiah you sent to us, said, we shall know the truth, and that shall set us free. We feel ourselves freer today than yesterday, and for this we thank you. Please bless also all the publishers of Spiritist Books around the world, and a special protection to the publisher of the International Spiritist Council, EDISA and EDISA of America, for the great works they have been doing, for the people who are sacrificing their lives on the behind the scenes to make these books available to all of us everywhere we are in the world. And so be it. Dear listener, we have news. In a week from today, we have a whole program to talk about Spiritist psychology. Can you believe it? Yes. Joana De Angelis, the mentor of Divaldo Franco, has actually published lots of books bridging up psychology and Spiritism. And we are very happy to share with you the many insights that are already available in Spiritist Books in the English language. So in a week from today, you'll hear from us many good news. In the meantime, don't forget, tomorrow, Spiritist Awareness for You with wonderful segments. Wednesdays, God at Home, and Thursdays, Spiritist Talks for you. For now, let us enjoy life while feeling the blessings of our Divine Father, Mother God.
Thank you for listening to Kardec Radio, broadcasting live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Email us and share your comments at www.kardecradio.com. Until next time, we wish you many blessings.